Alrighty, and welcome to another episode of NOVAtazz Automotive Podcast, episode 30, season 2. Um, I am joined today with Big E. Who knows who else might show up? Never know. But welcome. If you're in the chat, let us know. Um, let's have some fun. Let's see. Anything interesting happen? I may or may not have some interesting news coming up. May or may not be bringing something to the channel. We'll see. Um, as far as much of anything else, today's been a kind of slow week. Though, I heard there was a really bad car accident with the World of Outlaw folks. Did you hear about
Oh,
that? Yeah.
I did not.
Kamikaze. I guess he has a blacked out El Camino. Um, Went through an SUV, a concrete barrier, and then was eventually stopped by a second concrete barrier.
Jeez.
But apparently, this happened about a month ago, from what I've seen.
Damn.
I just watched a video today on his channel, the Kamikaze channel. He had the car sitting up on a 4-post. No, a 2-post, a 2-post
Yeah.
lift, and let's just say you could see the body mount on the passenger side front corner of the firewall. So that means it pushed that firewall uh, up and back far enough that you could literally see the bolt and the body mount.
Jeez.
Damn near ripped the front of that.
Oh, hello, Lucy.
Which means it also pushed the frame out of the way. Well, there's Lucy making her appearance.
Yeah.
So it means it literally pushed the frame and all of the sheet metal. Well, it wouldn't probably be sheet metal. That probably was a fiberglass front end, I would assume.
Probably.
You know, for the amount of horsepower I do believe that car puts out, I'm pretty sure that it was a fiberglass front end.
Yeah, more than likely.
But yeah, it just looked like the whole. It looked like some of your BMG drive cars. Um, it ripped the door off of the driver's side and stuffed it.
Oh! Mm!
Did she just jump on your nuts?
No, she jumped on my lap and went to jump down, but she didn't jump down. She went to slowly fall down and used her claws to hold on to me.
Ouch.
Ah.
But yeah.
God damn it.
I saw pictures of it, and that whole I don't think the driver's side looked too bad, but the passenger side was just. I only saw it from the passenger side, and it just looked like it ripped the whole freaking passenger side of the car off. I mean, the
Probably did.
bed looked like it was crinkled at the wheel well for the bed, and it was all front impact, which means you got to think about it. If it's a front impact and it brought that impact all the way back to the rear wheel well,
Yeah.
that's a big impact.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome aboard, Cletus. Howdy.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, it's going. Stopping in here, and I'm going to use all of you guys as therapy today. I had a really crappy last week and weekend. It's all work related, just making me feel like shit. But anyhow, I'm definitely using you guys as therapy. So,
All right.
Rip my earplug out. But we were just talking about. I saw today. One of the Street Outlaw guys from the Discovery Channel show or whatever. I'm not sure if it's still on Discovery Channel.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about with the farm truck and all that. Them people.
Yeah.
Guys from Oklahoma.
Kamikaze guy drove the Black Elko.
Mm-hmm.
He got in a really bad accident. Apparently about a month ago. Obviously it hasn't been released yet, so I'm pretty sure that other than him talking about it on his channel, no footage. I saw no footage, just a picture of the car. Well, in his video, he's sitting on a 2-post lift. You know, the classic 2-post lift with the two lift pads on each side. He was sitting on
Right.
the one lift pad going to the front of the car on the
Mm.
passenger side, and from that angle, it's nothing but carnage. Um, the firewall is pushed back up, like back and up. Um, the door is stuck in the striker panel, just hanging there. And it looked like the rear quarter was buckled at the rear tub.
Well, the last guy on there that had an El Camino died, didn't he?
I think so. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't follow that show that much because I already know a lot. I mean, it's not fake, but it's
Right.
not real either.
But there's some scripted stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's just like American Choppers. It's just like all the rest of them. It's made to look like it's illegal street racing. It's not illegal street racing. They're shutting down the street. There's a whole film crew. Cops are involved. You know, all of that freaking shit. There's
Right.
fake drama. I have stopped watching just about any show that has that kind of format. That's why I went to YouTube for my entertainment, because I'm not saying that all of YouTube isn't scripted.
Oh, of course not.
No.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I follow a channel called Demolition Ranch.
Hey
Yeah.
guys, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh, that's okay. But I follow that channel, and he just took part in a scripted filmed video for another channel. So I know
Oh,
that. I mean, and then a lot of Matt's stuff, at least the beginning of his videos, that's all scripted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a little opening skit bit, but you know, like
Yeah.
most of his content is it is what it is. You know, it's not they have an idea of what they want to do and all of that, but it's not so scripted that they're creating fake drama, unless they're
Yeah.
feeding off of, you know, like comment stuff. Like I know that they have a little bit going on with a few of the other channels where they act like they don't like each other or they have a beef with each other, but most of that is just, you know, playing off of the, you know, the BS that ends up in the chat, the comment section. You know, I know there, you know, like Mike and Whistling, Mike from Street Speed 717 and Whistling Diesel had a thing going for a little bit. You know, they all have stupid stuff. Now, you know, that's probably about the most you'll get me to mention that Whistling Diesel channel, though, because I just can't. I respect what he's doing, but at the same time, I really don't respect what he's doing. He's that one that just sits there and outright just destroys freaking whatever he gets his hands on. Now, granted, you can't fault him for doing what's working. You know, it gets people pissed off, it gets people to watch, but it also gets people like me to not watch. But
Yeah, well, it's kind of like Scotty Kilmer. He gets lots of people to watch, but any real car people, nah.
oh no, we can't stand him. He's fake.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
we
I
had
can't
an
fault
argument.
him. He's
we had
killing
an
it.
argument last week, didn't we? About the not
Yeah,
argument,
yeah.
but discussion about the fact that I was
We
like, my one
discussed it.
coworker was like, "Oh my god," you know, he was like so into everything that freaking dude said. I said, "Yeah, it's why you will never
Well-
see another car YouTuber ever watch him, because he's freaking fake."
He sounds like he knows what he's talking about, though.
Right, but that's
and
the
I'll give him
scary
that.
bit.
He's got a lot of views just
But
off
that's
that.
the scary part. You know, I mean, it's like the used cars, the bad used car salesman.
There you go.
You know, but you know what I mean when I say used car salesman. It's the you know.
I know what you meant. The one that everybody always references. You know,
Yeah.
back in the '80s. What was that movie with Kurt Russell where he's a car salesman?
I don't remember that one.
That's that. Yeah, he's the car salesman.
Matilda's parents were like that.
Oh no.
Remember Matilda, the
Yeah.
little girl that could do the like levitate shit and all that
Danny
stuff.
DeVito was the parents, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or the dad.
Yeah, and he was a used car salesman and sold the teacher the car with the freaking that barely made it, stole it to the principal, and it didn't even make it home that day, I don't think.
Man.
But yeah, you know, the stereotypical, you know, shady car salesman. We'll call it shady car salesman instead of used car salesman.
There we go.
But yeah, you know, he's like that. He's that one that, you know, gives you enough freaking things to make it feel like it's real, but it's not. And then you'll have people that actually want to follow that advice or do that, and that's the scary bit. You know, when you have somebody like that and people believe them, you know, because that's when you have
Yeah.
these. That's when you. It's like those Facebook posts forever ago where they're like, throw hot water on your windshield to melt the ice on the.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a great
Yeah.
way to just shatter
Put-
your freaking windshield the second the freaking the hot water touches that. You
Loosen
know.
your lug nuts so that in the winter, so it goes backwards or something, or
Yeah, like stupid
yeah.
shit.
So, well,
Hmm.
when we used to get people when I was in the army, all the new guys, we'd tell them to go get an exhaust sample. Hold a trash bag over the exhaust till it fills up.
Yeah, but that's not
Uh,
going to
no, no, no.
actually,
Yeah, we
the
would just
loosen
do
the lug
stuff like
nuts and
that.
stuff like that. You're going to get somebody stupid killed.
Killed or killed other people that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the freaking, a 20 or 30 or 40 pound freaking wheel, singing at freaking how many RPMs decides to let free on a freaking car. I know the damage. I mean, Big E was there when I was doing the front wheel hub on my truck, and it was like freaking what 11:30 at night. I was freaking dead ass tired. Probably shouldn't have been out there working on my truck, but had to go to work in the morning. One of those
Yeah.
deals. It was snowing outside, and it was like 30 below. Yeah, one of those. And I went to go
The
take it
hub
for,
couldn't go one more day, I guess.
huh?
The hub wouldn't go one more day.
Um, no, no, it was bad. Um, I don't. Was it the hub? No, it was the U joint. It was the U joint behind the hub that
Mm.
needed to be
I got you.
replaced. But you had to pull all that stuff out.
Right.
Because you had to pull the hub off to get to the
Hmm.
to the U joint.
On the front. On the front. Yeah.
Um. So yeah, it was the U joint that had gone. It actually completely come apart. Um. But I ended up having to repair the hub after my incident. Um. But anyway, so I had put all the wheels and stuff back on, but I had forgotten to go back and tighten them down after I set the truck down. It was freezing cold. It was snowing. I was tired. Wasn't thinking. Set the car down, and I forgot. I did the driver's side. I mean the passenger side, but I forgot to go back around and snug the driver's side front wheel. And so, as always, whenever I do something, I'll go take it for a test drive real quick. And I went. I didn't go very far, maybe a quarter mile. Turned around, and as I was coming back, because I was in four-wheel drive, because I wanted to test that, U joint. Um, it slung the front driver's side tire out in front of me. I had video of it, not of the tire going, but I had video of what happened to the rim. And it was they were like $40 um, powder coated black aluminum rims from Advanced Auto or one of those, maybe Pep Boys, Advanced Auto. I'm not sure who it was, but they were really nice looking rims. I had them on my green truck, and then when I sold the green truck, I kept them, and I had put them on. Hey, Lolid, welcome to the live stream. I had put them on the brown truck. Now, granted, the rims and tires on that brown truck look incredibly small compared to what they were on the green truck because they were 31 12 and a halves. No, 31 10 and a halves. And the green truck sat 2 inches lower than the brown truck because the brown truck is the off-road edition, so it's got that added lift from factory
Hmm.
over the stock four-wheel drive Rams. So they looked really small on that truck. But it's what I had as far as a snow-ish tire, because the stock ones that the stock rims that I had still had bald street tires, so bald like highway tires, and bald highway tires in the snow in the mountains don't work.
Nah.
I found out the next morning. After that morning, that's another story. But so it flung the tire, and it went probably 150, 200 yards over a field, so through a field, and hit the side of I don't know if it was a pallet factory or it was some sort of warehouse factory ish that made stuff, and it
Yeah.
creamed the side of their metal building.
Oh.
Left a dent in it too.
God damn.
But so I went down. It dropped. It dropped onto the disc brake, rolled a little bit, stopped the truck. I had to call Jess up, have her come down with one of the standard wheel tires, so the stock ones, and a jack, and whatever. And we ended up getting the truck up in the air enough to be able to put that wheel on it. There was only 2 studs left on that hub.
Damn.
Only 2 stubs left on that hub. 2 studs left on that hub at all. It sheared the other ones off when it came off. So we ended up. I ended up getting the wheel on with 2 lug nuts, driving it back up to the house. It took us like a good 20-30 minutes to track down where the tire went after it hit the building, because it didn't just hit the building and stop. It bounced back out into the field, and it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning at this point. So we went searching through the field looking for a large black on black wheel, because it's flat black powder coated on it with a black wheel in the middle of a dark field. So it took us a little bit to find it, and when we found it, it was garbage. The inside of the rim was all screwed up from hitting the brake rotor and everything else. It had cracked it, I guess, probably when it hit the building. It had cracked the rim. It still held air. It was still full of air, but it had killed it. Which sucks, because I went to go try to replace that rim because I really like the rims.
Yeah.
But like maybe 2 months before that, the big store that was selling those rims stopped selling rims and had all of their stock liquidated. And I don't mean like liquidated, like sold off to someone else. No, they were forced to take them all to a local freaking scrapyard and have them turned in for scrap. Brand new rims. Brand new rims, never, So I never found a replacement. I have the 3 other rims.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I have the 3 other rims, and I still have the busted one. But the center cap's destroyed. It's destroyed. So there's, it's kind of useless. And who wants 3 rims out of 4?
Yeah.
But the next day, like I said, I was trying to get the whatever. So I had to put all 4 of the regular tires back on it. And like I said, where I live, it's all hilly, it's all mountain. And I was going into work, and I was coming around a turn. It's not technically an off ramp because it's not actually a highway, but it's a major road onto a side road, so it has off ramps. It doesn't have an intersection, but it's not like a highway. It's a 2-lane road with I don't know what you want to call them, pass throughs or whatever. It doesn't come to a T. They're like smooth on and offs. So I was coming around the corner to go to the off, and the dude in front of me has to hit the brake in the middle of the corner. Now it's a downhill, so you're going downhill.
Yeah.
Along with so you're going downhill along with going making the turn.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cletus.
Yep.
Gotta snag that, don't you?
That's it.
But he hit the brakes in the middle of that sweeping turn. I'm in a big, heavy truck with bald tires, and we're cruising at a good 35, 40 miles an hour. As soon as I touched that brake, the back end came around. And I'm lucky because the back end came around, and I slid completely sideways into the ditch. Back end pointing the wrong direction. And there was a big drainage pipe that came out from underneath the road right there. And if I would have caught that, it would have just rolled the truck. I'm lucky that I just kind of glided over it, and because the ground was so wet, I just slid into the grass. Because like I said, if I would have caught that, I would have been rolling through the grass into the trees. like
Scary.
you don't suddenly hit the brakes or change direction, or in this case, both in bad weather. If you're making a turn,
Yeah, of
don't
course.
Yeah.
hit the brakes. Because even if you make it, the guy behind you that has to react to you doing it, is probably not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was most nerve wracking. Is the time between I had those wheels on it and I got the new the mud claws, the bigger mud claws, because that was right before we parked the truck. Because it was right after that we got the mud claws, the 33 by 12 and a halves, and then we had the transmission issues.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. By the way, also thank you for not making my tip jar empty. What you guys don't know is I had a bad Windows update between the last time that I had actually, yeah, it was between the last time that I did a live stream at home and this week. So we found out about it after I came back from vacation. So after the last live stream, the computer would not stay running for more than 5 or 10 minutes without shutting down. And it ended up being, I ended up having to completely reinstall Windows, which means I had to reinstall all my programs. So when I had to reinstall Streamlabs, it set everything back to fresh. That's why the tip jar is empty. There's no, like normally there's little subscription things in there. There's the silver ones, I think the silver ones are whatever type of donation you did, Cletus. And then the gold ones are the other one.
Well, I tried to send some money on PayPal first, on the PayPal link.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to go through. It says it did, but I don't see it anywhere. So
you send it on both?
Like it's not even showing. Yeah, well, I sent it there and I didn't see anything, so I just sent it on the other. So if you get both, good for you.
I got a super chat, which that one showed up.
Yeah, I sent that one afterward, but you said PayPal, you get to keep more of the money.
Yeah,
so I tried to send it on there. But it says it worked, but then I didn't get a receipt saying it did work. So
maybe it didn't.
Who knows?
Welcome aboard, pilot. But what? Did I make noise?
No, I just saw that you were both drinking.
Oh. It's probably me. I gotta go get this. I'm getting all my beard and stuff trimmed tomorrow. It's getting crazy.
I had like a $2,000 paperweight for like 3 or 4 days. So frustrated. Like me and Big E could not play any game. As soon as I opened the game, it would be like maybe 10 seconds, and then like we use Discord to talk back and forth while we're playing. And I would just be in mid sentence and screen would go blank and I'd just be gone.
Mm-hmm.
I was so pissed off and so angry.
Well, that's why you gotta have an Xbox for backup.
Right. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't go through and play any of the notifications from the last. Actually, I can go back 14 days because I wasn't able to play them in the last one. So, oh wow. There was a lot of subscriptions from YouTube. So we got a J Auto 1 subscribed. So we'll play that one. Maybe. Why does it take so long?
Who knows?
Maybe it's not going to play it.
Mad at you.
It probably is. We got a Josie 1990 JJ. Play that one. No, it played that one. It didn't play the first one. I feel like I cheated it. I love that animation. That animation's freaking killer.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So try the J Auto. There's the J Auto one. Okay, and then we have an Eddie Cutlass. So we'll play his.
Have you hit the 2,000 mark yet?
No.
I know you're getting close.
1930.
It's getting there.
It's getting there. We have a Curtis, which I do believe is you, joined our Facebook page.
That's me.
Mhm.
I
Tell
gotta give
everybody my real
permission
name,
for
I
that.
guess.
Huh?
Yeah.
We have Anthony P subscribed to the YouTube channel. We got a Yamo Franco subscribed to Twitch. And then we have your donation. So that's what my mini feed tells me happened since the last time that I updated it. So thank you guys for joining and for subscribing to the different networks. Nothing new from Pilot, huh? That's okay. There's not really anything new from me. Though I have some things I have to take care of first. But may or may not have some funds left over to purchase something for the channel. We'll have to see. That was like the only good news for like the last week. So we'll have to see. I'm not quite sure. Depending on how much funds I have left over will depend on whether or not what I get. And I don't want to sit here and put any hopes and dreams up of getting the thing that I really want until I know that I'm going to be able to get it. So either it'll be to the woodworking stuff, like the routers and the stuff like that, to do the desk, to be able to do the live edge river table or desk or whatever you want to call it, or it might be something for one of the cars. It all depends on how much funds are left. So, important life stuff comes first, and then whatever's left over to spend on fun stuff. Oh. It all depends on how much stuff costs. But I've severely underestimated how much stuff has gone up since COVID started.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, because we were looking at we're supposed to be going away again in October. I don't know whether or not I'm going to stream during that vacation or not. I'll have to let you guys know. Depends on where we go, and obviously signal where we're at, and whether or not I'm going to do like I did last time. Or if I'm just going to actually just enjoy my vacation and take a week off. But where was I going with that? I forget where I was going with that.
But prices went up.
That's right. We were looking into plane tickets. Now, when I flew from here to Chicago a couple years back, it was like $200 for a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
For us to have gone from here to Massachusetts to Boston, it would have been almost $400 a person.
Wow, the tickets were way down.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is how I think about it. Okay, how they come, if you have a bus that seats 60 people, okay, and you can seat 60 people on that bus, you can average the cost of that trip over those 60 people. And that's how much you come up with, how much, with profit, how much you charge each seat. Sure. Right? If, like, say now they have the, whatever COVID restrictions for how close people can be, right? Let's say.
Well, they're not following that anyway. It's they're totally full now.
Oh, they're just
packing the flights, yeah.
Oh, well, okay. I thought maybe that was the reason why they were still so expensive. But you still need to think. They still have to make up for all of those months of...
That must be what it is, because my sister, not even that long ago, just flew down from Rochester, New York to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Well, I would say...
And it was $75 a person.
Right. I would say probably about then, it was just desperation of getting people on the planes.
Right, right.
And now that people are traveling again, now they need to make up for that revenue loss.
Well, somebody's got to pay for it. I guess it's going to be the consumer.
It's got to get paid eventually at some point. I mean, that's the other thing that I didn't realize. Wood. Just flat out fucking just regular lumber. How expensive it got. Because I watch Goon Squad. I don't know if anybody else in here watches them. I suggest you do. They're freaking awesome. It's GOONZ and then Squad. One word.
Personally, I didn't care for them, but
Oh, I love their stuff. I mean, they're I like them because they don't claim to know everything. Almost every single
Sure.
one of their videos, they're like, hey, we're not claiming we know how to do this. If you guys know how to do this, hey, let us know. And then they come, they'll actually say, hey, so and so in the chat said, that you guys that this is how it's done, and it's like they correct themselves when they've realized they've done something wrong. So it's they're down to earth, they're real guys.
Sure.
I think their content is interesting. They did the whole Copart rebuild stuff so much better than a lot of the other channels. I mean, you had like not VTune. VTune's one of their friends. But there's a couple of them that do that. The one guy that I watch, he's really technical about it, but the problem is it's not as interesting to watch his content as versus like Goon Squad. Goon Squad, they kind of really they don't they don't dive super super deep into the nitty gritty of what's going on. They just kind of keep it fast paced and moving and that stuff. Um, so it's just I don't know. I found their content really interesting. I followed them all the way back when they had the blue Mustang. That was where I found them. So it was like not long. I think what they did. I think they did a Jeep and a Subaru before that. Um, so they weren't very big when I found them. Not very big at all. I mean, I know they're big now, but been following them for a while. But anyway, so what I was saying is they bought a house up on top of a mountain, and it was apparently the only house that's up was supposed to be like the mother-in-law house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was not actually the mother-in-law because it was the dude's mother and dad that he was building the house for. He was going to build the main house next to it, but the parents died, so the house never got finished, and so
Yeah.
then the property sat. But anyway, so what some of the things that they were commenting about because they come from a family that does contracting work, and like they were saying, it's like they can't believe how much the price of wood has gone up.
Hmm.
Um, just from a little while ago to now. I mean, I remember buying a piece of plywood for like maybe $10, $13 for a piece of 8 foot plywood. They're saying that
Mhm.
they're buying like the big chunked plywood,
Yeah.
not like the smooth stuff, the rough stuff. $23 a sheet
Jeez.
for the like the ones the big wood chips,
Yeah.
pressed board. Um, but yeah, the that stuff was going. I guess like what do they call it? OBS. I think that's what they call it. But
Yeah.
they're $23 a sheet. I think I remember that stuff being like maybe $10. The fancy plywood, the nice smooth stuff where it's actually like veneered sheets. That
Yeah.
stuff was expensive, but not super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I found it like wow that it was that expensive because that's what I no actually no I made my entertainment unit out of pre-made pine um, boards. So like the
Yeah.
ones where it's like strips and then they glue them. They're already pre-glued together and milled and cut instead of making it yourself and planing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that those were expensive. Getting those already finished boards, they were
Oh
expensive
yeah.
because I don't have them. I didn't have the machines to do that. I still don't. That's why the first thing I'm getting is a router because that'll let me basically do a poor man's plane,
Mm-hmm.
where you just have a jig that lets the router go back and forth, and that sits on a level surface. And then because that's on a level surface, it'll make the board level. Um, but yeah, I don't have any of those fancy tools. I mean, as far as woodworking, when I built that entertainment unit, I had a circular saw, I had a drill, a Dremel, and a jigsaw.
Damn.
That's what I built that table with. Oh, and I had an orbital sander. But that's what I built that table that whole thing with. Um, so no nothing fancy. It's It cost me like $250 in wood to build that. So not including my time. It was, just straight materials was like $250. Oh, and that's why like you get people that get pissed off when and the reason why like people say, oh yeah, build me furniture. You could build something like that. Build me something. But then when you start
They
talking
want you to do it
prices,
for free.
yeah, they don't want you to pay. They don't want. Maybe they don't want to do it for free, but they don't. They underestimate how much something like that costs, let alone your time and effort. Because I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen my entertainment unit, but it's basically it's about 8, 9 feet long. It's not very deep because I originally built it to fit into our bedroom, and it's big enough to fit a 55-inch TV and a 30 gallon fish tank. A 30-gallon long fish tank. And it's all made out of solid wood. Well, the shelves aren't solid wood. The shelves are that particle board, MDF,
Right.
because they didn't have to support any weight. They're just shelves. So that stuff, yeah, that stuff was like $2 a board. So that saved me a lot of money versus me having to pay to get some nice boards to make those shelves out, and I just blacked them out anyway, so you can't see them. All the parts that were supposed to be nice and pretty, they're all made out of solid pine. The fish tank end, the main inner, the weight bearing part of it is all made out of 2x4, and then I put a nice piece of pine like 1x4 on the outside of the 2x4 in the front. So that way, that's actually, that's the face. That's what you see. So that way, when you stain it, it looks nice. But yeah, so like the inner structure is all 2x4. What the tank sits on is 2x4. And then, like all the rest of it's just pretty wood. But yeah, that was like $250 in wood, even with me cheaping out and buying the MDF for the shelves. But people don't understand that. That's not including your time. So then you have to add your time to it, and then people don't want to pay six. Like for me to build that entertainment unit, I would charge probably around $600 to $700 for that entertainment unit. You got to think my time and labor on top of materials cost. And but the problem is people. All right, see you later, Lilith. People don't want to pay for something because I can go to Walmart and go pick up something that does the same thing for like 150 $200.
Yeah, but
It's made out
the
of
quality is definitely going to be different.
Oh yeah, I mean, geez, this right here, this top piece is from a Walmart desk. When I picked it up, I pulled it out of the garbage. I'm not gonna lie. Everybody knows because Jess's desk over there is the bottom part to this, and I think that desk is $150 to $180 at Walmart, and it's just a small L, like really small L. I think it's like 4 feet by 3 feet. It's not big. It's small. Well, actually, I know it is. Actually, no, it's 5 feet because this table here is 4 feet. This section here is 4 feet, and this hangs over about another foot onto onto this piece of table. So 5 by 4 feet. And it's just made out of press board. And when I picked it up, I had to replace half the boards because the fixtures just ripped out of them. The fasteners just literally ripped out of it. So I ended up like this piece here and this piece on the end are not original. I went out and bought some MDF and cut new pieces to the right size and put the correct holes in where they needed to be and painted them black. Unless you look at it from close up, you'll never know I replaced those. The only reason you'll know is because they're not shiny like the rest of the MDF, because the rest of the MDF has that laminate on it, whereas mine I just painted it gloss black.
Black.
Well, it's gloss, but it's MDF, so it soaked up a lot of the paint, so it's not as glossy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, $150. Sure, you got a desk. Now, let me build you a desk like that. It ain't gonna cost you $150. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna last you a long time, but it's not gonna cost $150. I'm looking at the table. For me to build this desk, I'm looking at just the top, the wood for the top, not including the epoxy. Just the raw wood is going to cost me $100 to $150.
Jeez.
Well, it's like 2 inch thick.
Mm.
They're about 2 inches thick, and probably about 12 to 14 feet long. And it's all rough cut wood, so it's literally straight off the sawmill. So, well, not straight off, because you got to let them cure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let them dry out. Because otherwise, when I build it, it's just going to do this. It's just going to work. It's going to want to twist. But yeah, so you're thinking, like, I think it's like $10, $11 a foot for those pieces of wood. And that's before flattening them. So I gotta, like I said, I gotta take that router and make passes back and forth across the whole piece of wood until that whole piece of wood is flat. Because it's not gonna be flat. It's gonna be a little twisted.
Mm-hmm.
So then you gotta, like I said, you gotta wait for the drying process. You gotta wait for it to dry, and in that drying process, it's gonna warp a little bit from where it was coming off of the sawmill. You gotta flatten it out, and then so you got all that time into prepping that piece of wood. Okay, and then you got to pour your epoxy, and it's probably going to be another $100 and some in epoxy. To make that table, because you got to think, I got to pour epoxy like 1.5 inches thick. To fill all the voids in there. Wood is not magnetic. No, it is not. Not unless you find that unless you find that nail embedded in the freaking wood from 100 years ago. Say goodbye to your router for that one. Or your router bit, I should say. Router bits aren't like the router bit for 1.5 inch flat router bit. You got to cut flat surfaces.
Yeah.
They're like $50 just for one bit.
Jeez.
I'm guessing it's too wide to fit through a planer.
Well, it
Like
depends
not
on
a hand planer, but yeah.
But yeah, well, the thing is, depends on the size of your planer. Sure, it'll fit through a shop size 3 foot wide planer. It'll fit through that, but you ever seen the price of those?
Yeah.
You're looking like two to 4 to 5 grand for one.
You can always do a hand planer.
Well, yeah, if I wanted to spend. And the thing is I can hand plane it, but that doesn't mean that the board will be level. It'll be flat, but it doesn't mean that it'll be level from one side to the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Get all old school and get one of them the ones you push with your hands.
Well, yeah, that's what
not the electric ones.
But
not
like
the electric one.
The problem with that is it'll make it flat, but it won't make it flat and parallel to the other side. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can make one side flat, but when I flip it over and I try to plane the other side, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make it level and flat to the side, to the table. So that's where the router and the planer jig comes in. The planer, what it basically is it's 2 pieces of wood or metal rails that sit flat on a table or a surface, right? That's where you get your flat surface. And then you have another board that spans across it that the router slides back and forth on. So it's actually technically 2 boards nailed together with a hole in the middle for the bit to fit in. And then that lets the router slide back and forth between the 2 boards at a consistent height. So then what you do is you start at one end of the board. All right, so you have your 2 boards, and then you have your planer that's going to go, your router that's going to go this way in between those 2 boards. and you work your way in from one end to the other, back and forth, at a set depth, and then you take it down just a little bit more until the router catches the whole board all the way across. Then it's flat. But like before you do that, you have to level the original piece of wood as best as you can in between that jig. So you're not just like laying that piece of wood down on the table. You're laying that piece of wood down on the table trying to get the top part as level and flat as possible so that you're not taking off too much material. And then once you're done that, you flip it over and that side can sit directly on the table or whatever your flat surface is, because that side is now flat. And then you come back here and you repeat the process. Then both sides will be parallel and flat all the way across.
Yep.
And that's how you do it without having an actual planer. Yes, the planer will be faster, and it'll probably be more accurate. But the thing is not everybody has a 2 to 3 to 4 foot wide planer, or not even you got planers, and then you got a jointer. Nobody has not everybody has one that big to be able to do that. What kind of wood doesn't float? I think he's got me stumped on that one.
Peckerwood.
Wood. You're a horrible pilot.
I see what he did.
I don't get it again.
Huh?
I guess I don't get it.
Natalie Wood.
I don't know who that is.
A person.
Well, I'm sure it's a person, but
let's just say she's just a little sunk. Just Google it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anywho, so yeah, that takes a while to do it that way, but it's the cheap way to do it. I mean, the a router the router that I'm looking at is going to cost me anywhere from like $200 to $250. And it's definitely a lot faster than hand planing and more accurate than hand planing, and is also faster than it's less expensive than taking it somewhere. Like, I could take it to a wood shop and pay them to plane it. I could take it somewhere to get it planed.
Yeah.
But that's not going, that may or may not help anyway.
Right.
Yeah, Cletus, you're not catching up to me now.
What? Where? How are you so high on there?
You got to remember, I give myself points.
Oh, man.
Bamboozled again.
Fair.
Hey, this is the show where we're going to steal we have that whose line is it anyway freaking there, There's no script and the points don't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like, I can do that. It's not going to be that hard to do. It's just money. It's just coming up with the stuff. But that desk is not going to be cheap to build. Especially if I were to if I were to charge somebody for me to make it, you're looking at well over $1,000 for. I mean, geez, no, I would pay probably close to $1,500 to $2,000, because just the materials and the time and labor involved. I mean, they're if you've seen those, they're a piece of artwork.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're super nice.
And yeah, I mean, and this stuff's not something wrong. And it's not like they're not, they're the materials aren't cheap. Live edge wood is expensive.
I always put in things in perspective for me. I always think to myself, how many cars could I buy for that? And $2,000, I could probably get 2 cars out of, or maybe even 3.
Yeah.
You're gonna be hunk of junk usually, but still.
Well, and the thing is at this point, it's not only, this is something that, you see this. I mean, I'm using Walmart folding plastic tables as my desk. That's what this is. I'm not sure if you can hear that. That's
Yeah.
plastic. But you see, this is the viewing angle. Can you imagine? I do these live streams every week, so it's something that's going to be constantly there. So the pieces that you see, in this space, they matter. It's something that will then become a part of the channel. It's something that also that will be video content for. It's not like there's going to be a video series for the whole step from the very beginning to the end. And I'm not building, and the thing is, it's not like I'm buying all of this stuff for one project. So at the same time, yes, I'm already committed to building this desk, but I've also committed Jess to build her one. So that's two. And I plan on doing other projects too. But the other thing is that's me building this stuff for myself. I'm also hoping that other people will see it and see what I can do, and then I can get commissioned work for other people. That was the same thing with that jewelry cabinet that I did for Jess, and how that turned out. And then you got, I've done dressers. I did the entertainment unit. I've done plenty of stuff, plenty of custom stuff.
You ever thought about doing the little dollhouse furniture?
No, I haven't. But I also don't have. I wouldn't say I have the equipment to do that. That's a lot of fine stuff.
That stuff sells really good, like on Etsy and stuff, and
Yeah.
eBay.
But
like crazy amount of money.
Yeah, I'm more into the epic custom stuff.
Yep.
So like I like to customize existing reclaimed furniture.
Sure.
At one point most of the dressers in my house were all reclaimed side of the road pieces that they were all refinished in the same style, but all of the dressers were different. So their common theme was, the red mahogany and the hardware. Everything else, every dresser had its own personality because they all came from different places and different time periods. So they all fit, but they didn't fit. It was, an eclectic. What do they call that? An eclectic collection. I only have one piece left. Which sucks because it was actually my first piece and it's not my favorite one. My favorite one was the huge ass cherry wood dresser that I did. That one was 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide, and a foot and a half, 2 feet deep, all made out of solid cherry. It had like 7 drawers going up and they were huge. That one was a gorgeous dresser, but it sadly got ruined. And I had to throw it away. It was beyond me being able to fix it. But yeah, that one really hurt when that one kicked the bucket, because that was not my first piece. I think it was my second or third piece, and it was in my mom's neighborhood. It was painted all like brushed on black, covering all of that beautiful cherry wood. And I sanded it all down, restained it, and fixed a couple of the drawers that were busted. There was a couple drawers that were busted, and there was a couple runners that the drawers slide on that were busted. Fixed all of that. It was gorgeous. I mean, that probably was a good like $1,200 piece of furniture, $1,200 piece of furniture when it was new.
Damn.
It was gorgeous. Somebody just had it out for the garbage because the drawer broke. And like I said, it's made out of solid cherry. It wasn't like that cheap like veneered stuff.
Right.
It was solid wood.
Actual cherry wood.
All the way through. It wasn't cherry veneer. It was like solid cherry wood. It was gorgeous.
Well, if you want some oak or cherry or cedar, I got a whole bunch that I'm cutting down. So you're welcome to it.
Unless you're gonna cut it into long flat pieces, and as they have to be a good, like for me to do this table, the pieces have to be a good 14 inches wide.
I've got out there on the land where I put the car light at. I've got probably about 6 trees that are that big, but I'm going to leave them up because they're cool.
Yeah, like I said,
I'm just taking down
these
the
are
little bitty
normally
weird ones.
these boards normally come from trees that died, you know, or were removed for some other reason. It's not like people cut them down just for that. But the problem is you cut them down fresh, unless you got a kiln to dry them out. It takes years for those to dry. You know, you're talking a year or two just chilling there. You know, in a
I
dry.
had some that I was drying out because I was going to make, you know, I was going to cut it up or take it over to the sawmill and have them do it for me.
Right.
And the bugs got a hold of it before it could dry.
Yeah, you got to keep them inside.
They were way too big for that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. These people have these big areas to keep them in. There's a guy that's like right down the street. Like I said, it's like $10 or $11 per foot for those. And I got to think this table here is 8 feet this way, and I don't know how wide these are. I think it's maybe 2 feet wide, and then this piece here is 4 feet. So I'm guessing this area here is what, like 8 by 6, and I want it to go another foot, 2 feet that way, because I want it to come up, wrap around, and then come this way just like a foot. You know, just that way I have a big like J. Just that way I can, over here on the end where I'm filming, I can have the 2 monitors sitting over here. Kind of not unlike where I have it now with the laptop and the monitor. You know what I mean? And that way I also have, you know, space to work other than where the keyboard and the monitor and stuff are. Because it's a pain in the butt right now. I mean, granted, I have this space over here. But, yeah, I don't know. I want more space this way at least. So that way I don't feel like I'm backed up against the wall. Yeah. That's what it is. I only have maybe 3 feet between the wall and the front of the desk. You know, and well, actually it's 4 feet. It's got to be 4 feet, but there's a floor radiator behind me. But yeah, so I just want more space to be able to maneuver. I don't like small cramped spaces. And it'll also get the it'll also allow me to get the camera further away. Or at least more maneuverable. The other thing I could do is bring the camera back here then and shine this way at the, you know, depending on how I do it. There's different things I can do. You see other YouTubers that do podcasts and stuff and how they have their stuff set up. But yeah, it's a work in progress as far as all of that. I don't know where all the peeps are at today. I thought maybe we would have more people today.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I shared it to the Nova group.
I shared it to a few places for you.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where everybody's at today.
A
2x4 is not. No, 2x4 is not a 2x4. It's more like a 1 3/4, 1.5 by about a 1.5.
Yeah.
And
apparently it used to be a 2x4, and then it's been shrinking over the years.
2x4, but then people were complaining that they weren't straight or they weren't this, and so now that they do some finishing work to them, you know, it shrinks them down a little bit.
Yeah.
They start out as a 2x4 before, you know, like straight from the sawmill, they're a 2x4.
Well, this house right here was built in 1969, and I call it downstairs. It really used to be a garage, and it goes down some steps in like a den area, but we don't use it as a den. But anyway, when we were redoing the walls, we had to replace a couple 2x4s.
And they weren't the same size?
And they were actual 2x4s.
Yeah.
And then now that, you know, they're not.
Well, it also depends on where you get them. You go to an actual lumber yard with rough cut wood, you know, where you're not buying these nice pretty boards you see at like Lowe's and Home Depot. They might actually be 2x4s. You know, versus the stuff that you end up getting where it's been treated and it's been, you know, it's been beautified, where the all the edges are nice and crisp and clean and all that.
Rounded and all that, yeah.
Because that takes material away.
Sure.
Yeah.
And let's see, if you're making wood, are you going to want to start with something oversized and bring it down to 2x4?
Most people aren't.
No, because you're going to end up with less. You're going to end up with less product because you're going to have to, you're going to have to waste more product to get it down to there.
Can y'all hear my son yelling?
Maybe faintly.
He's in there playing Fortnite. So.
See,
poor
you
guy.
got to get him to play Fall Guys.
He probably would. He's really big into Fortnite.
Fall Guys is fun.
He's been talking about joining the little thing where he does the competitions. So
yeah, I don't know. I never got. I tried Fortnite. Can't do it. Like PUBG.
I'm not very good at it, but
right. Like PUBG. Okay, Battle Royale. Be the last person to survive. I can get kind of up towards the top. I mean, me and Big used to do that all the time. With our group of friends, I could get kind of up to the top, but Fortnite, forget it. I cannot build and try to defend and shoot myself at this. I'm
I
old.
can't either.
I'm old.
I just gotta be good
can't do it.
and shoot.
Well, I freak out because like when me and Big E, we used to play Forza as well. Like when I would watch his replays and stuff, like me when I'm driving, I stick it on like the hood cam or just behind the car, and I leave it there. I'll watch the little signals down in the bottom, but I tend to leave it there. I don't look behind me. I don't turn you can turn your head and look side to you and stuff like that. I just tunnel vision, pay attention to hitting my marks, hit my corners, make sure I hit my apexes. That you watch Big E's, he's looking backwards, looking forwards, looking left, looking right. It blows my mind how you could focus on all of those freaking things at once and still race.
Practice.
No, I don't have. I have ADD, ADHD. If I did all that freaking shit, I'd end up in the wall.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Oh, look at that guy's car," and bam.
But yeah, like I mean, Biggie knows I can drive. I can drive my ass off in a freaking game like that. Am I the most courteous driver? No, but I'm also not, I don't purposely like dive bomb a corner and take people out. I will purposely wait to the last second to hit the brakes, and I will outbrake you into a corner.
Well, I'm pretty good on Fortnite. I'm good at shooting, like hiding and shooting and all that. Running and gunning.
I'm not a running gunner.
Yeah. Well, I did it on Call of Duty and stuff like that. So I just use that same principle.
I wasn't very good at Call of Duty either, was I?
See, by the time that I get scoped on somebody or got somebody tracked down, my son done built a house around me and killed me. So, I mean, it's a whole different ballgame.
Oh yeah, I can't do it. Yeah. I like my racing game. I cannot wait for the new Forza to come out. And especially since you can now play Xbox games on your computer.
Some games, yes.
Yeah. Well, at least with this one, the last this computer totally spanks my Xbox. I mean, I'm pulling way more frames per second.
Oh yeah.
The image is way clearer, which also improves your reaction time.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, it's a little unfair to play on a really good computer against people that are playing on an Xbox. It's almost like not very fair at all. Now the new ones that are coming out, the new Xbox and PlayStation, this computer I think this computer would have a hard time, even with as upgraded as it is, would have a hard time playing those games to its fastest. I mean,
well, sure.
You got to think about it. Those games are, I think the graphics cards on those have like 32 megabytes, 32 gigs of RAM on the graphics card.
I can believe that.
They literally load the game onto the graphics card, which is the same speed. It's an NVMe storage on that. It literally loads it the whole game, and it never has to load the game after you load it up. So like on most games where you have to crawl through some tiny space or something like that while it loads the next part of the game, or go in an elevator and you have to go up to another level and it loads the game there. The new games probably won't have those. They will not have those little spaces where it slows you down so it can load the next chapter. Because it will automatically have every asset for the game will already be loaded when you start the game. So it literally just will populate the map as it needs it, instead of having to load it ahead of time. I've been watching the tech on all this stuff, and it's just amazing. But yeah, I can't wait for the new Forza to come out, and hopefully they fix some of the issues that they had in Forza 6 and 5. Or no, Forza 6 and 7. Right? 6
Yeah.
and 7? Yeah.
I just never got into Forza myself. I guess because
it's where me
I don't
and
know.
Biggie met.
I just like customizing vehicles. I don't like racing them.
See, I've been racing.
I like drag racing games.
I have been racing simulation games since the original Gran Turismo.
Been a while then.
Yeah, I've played every single Gran Turismo up until I switched to Xbox, which I think that was Gran Turismo 6? 5 or 6?
Wait, which one? What?
I think it was Gran Turismo 5 or 6 when I switched over to Forza.
Did you have a PlayStation 3?
No.
And it was not Gran Turismo 5 or 6.
Which was it 4 was the last one that was on PS2?
It was, 3 and 4 were on PlayStation 2.
Yeah. Okay. So then it was 4. I never played 5 then. Because then I went to the original Forza and then Forza 2. Because the other simulation game that I've played, I think, was on Xbox. I think it was called Sega GT. That was a really neat system because that one, your parts actually wore out as you raced. So the more abusive you were to the car, like your exhaust would wear out and you'd have to buy a new one. It wasn't like Forza where you buy a part and you have it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you never have to replace it. This one, your car actually had wear and tear and you had to maintain, and it cost you money to fix it. So you had to balance how rough you were with how well you did in the race. So it didn't matter if you went balls to the wall, and especially if you didn't finish up near the top and you still beat the crap out of your car, because eventually you'd run out of money. Because you'd have to repair stuff on your car that broke. So if you were beating and banging on the player next to you, well, you had to fix that damage. And it cost you money.
Yeah.
You could choose to not fix it. It's kind of like the rally games. The rally games have that as well. Where you can choose to fix your damage or leave it until it gets a little bit more damage and then replace it. Or you could replace it every round, which would cost you a fortune. So you could end up going into a race with a car that was already hurt before you started. Depending on,
I remember doing that a couple of times. Not by choice, though.
Yeah, it's normally never by choice.
I would just get the car so beat up and you can only fix so much. I'm like, do I want to fix this or do I want to fix that?
In the Sega game, it was not necessarily time that kept you from being able to fix it, but more money. It was money management and, car and money management. But yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that they're not gonna go. They're maybe doing stuff where it's crew based for Forza 8, I guess, or I don't know what they're calling a new Forza game.
Well, I mean, we could just refer to it as Forza 8 because it's going to be the 8th Forza Motorsport game.
But there's hints that it might possibly be, like team or team management based as well. And if it is, it'll probably lose me. I'm not playing Forza to go down the same route that the NASCAR games went, because that's why I stopped playing those.
Yeah.
I want to, if I want to tune the car, sure. But Big E knows that, yeah, when I tuned a car, I did a really good job. Just never had time to sit down and, I don't want to sit down and spend all my time tinkering with the car. I want to get in the race.
Yeah. You're really good about critiquing other people's tunes, too.
Well, yeah, I knew what I liked, and I knew what I wanted. And I knew what felt good and what didn't feel good. And yes,
I'm the other way around on them games. I like tinkering with the cars more than I do racing.
Well, you like testing, tuning them. You like making them run. Yeah. See, and that's fine, but don't force somebody into a particular.
Right.
And that's what the NASCAR games did. They forced you into team management instead of just letting you. If you wanted to do that, sure. At that point, be the team manager, focus on all of the thing, hire a driver to do the race. You know what I mean?
Well, or they should have split it up where if you want that job, then you take that job.
Right, exactly.
If you want to be the racer, you be the racer.
Or let you do both if you wanted to. You can choose the
Sure.
Hey, pay somebody to manage your team while you do the racing. You know,
Sure.
a cut of your cash has to go to managing your team. The more you want to pay towards managing your team, the better the team will be. And vice versa. You know, if you don't like racing, you're not really good at racing, but you like the team management aspect, you pay a driver to do the driving for you. Or if you
Make it
like
more
doing
realistic.
both, well then do both. You know,
You
give
could kind of
people
do
the
that in Gran
option.
Turismo 4 even.
Yeah, give people the option. Don't force somebody to do a certain thing. I mean, I really enjoy racing. Yes, I can tell somebody what feels good or doesn't feel good on a car. Technically, yes, I can tune. I just don't have the time or the motivation to do it. With the laser testing, is there still? I don't know, pilot. I have not watched NASCAR race in probably 4 or 5 years. Honestly, I don't. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the last big cheating scandal.
I haven't even paid attention to it at all. Ever since Gordon stopped racing, I haven't paid attention to it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But like I said, I one of the biggest things I like about Forza is the fact that it is so realistic to a point. I mean, it's still a video game. Um, but I like the fact of getting in there and doing things that I can't do out on the street because I can't afford a $60,000-$70,000 sports car
Or the repairs.
or the repairs for one.
Or
Yeah.
upgrades. Or
Nor
you
can
know,
I
or any of that.
necessarily afford the track time or the speeding tickets if I decide to do this on the back streets.
Right.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's my way of relaxing because I'm honestly, I'll admit, I used to beat the snot out of my Nova on the back roads, you know.
Well,
But eventually that will
and
catch up to you. Eventually you're going to either get in trouble by the law, or you're going to end up in a tree. You know, eventually, you know, reality will catch up to you and realize this isn't a video game.
well, I
Yeah.
used to go off road. We used to go mudding. We called it mud bogging down here.
Well, we do that up here
A
too.
lot.
Yeah.
We did it a lot, and then it started hitting me in the pocketbook. And my problem was sometimes it would be my daily driver. So if I
Yeah,
broke
my
it on
truck.
Sunday, I'm walking on Monday. So then we went to go get 4-wheelers and side by sides and all that. So
Yeah, they're cheaper
hey,
and
we
easier
tear
to
it up.
fix.
We just haul it home and
Yeah,
worry
it's
about it
cheaper
later.
to fix. Though they're getting expensive too.
Oh yeah. Well, I just
Them
sold all
razors
mine. I
and stuff
sold
like that are
everything.
freaking ridiculous.
I sold my side by side, my 4-wheelers. I sold it all to get my car light started. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but we'll buy another one.
I
But yeah,
still have
they're
my
stupid
toys. I just
expensive.
need to fix them. I mean, that's what my Nova, my Nova was at one point my daily driver, and then it became my toy. You
Mhm.
know, and then I bought another toy because that toy broke.
Mhm.
This is
I'll
what
be
I
right
did.
back.
I broke the Nova because that tire that broke loose and ripped the fender off. You know, and then the car would have taken a lot to fix. And I was like, I want another vehicle to be able to. I want another old vehicle to be able to run and drive in. So I bought the TA. The TA
Hmm.
didn't need much work. It still doesn't need much work. Will it need work? Yeah. Eventually, that A post is going to have to be replaced. You know, it needs to be gone over and restored. It definitely does. But at the moment, it doesn't need it as bad as the Nova does.
Almost bought a 78 Nova yesterday.
Yeah. Well, the thing
Yeah.
is, I went and bought that other 77 Nova because that was
Hmm.
supposed to be the quick, you know, get a Nova up and running again because that was a full body. When
Yeah.
I found the ad, it said rust free, you know, and all this other stuff, rolling chassis, didn't have an engine or trans. It was a complete car. And then by the time I got it, it was not what, you know, because I didn't buy it firsthand. I didn't go and look at it and buy it. I had somebody go out and go buy it and bring it halfway back. And
Yep.
in
By that
turn,
time, you were in it.
well, that and in turn, you know, I was like, you go out and go pay for it, and then you know, you can take the stuff off of it that you need, which was they needed the front fenders, they needed the doors. I think front fenders and doors, and I think that was maybe the front grille. Some other stuff that I had on my car that was good on my car. I was like, you can take that stuff, and you know whatever, and I will pay you so much money for what's left. And and I made an assumption that, hey, I can make back the money that I'm giving you. This is to me. I'm like I'm figuring this stuff out in my head because I literally took my rent money to pay for that car.
Dang.
And the whole reason I took that risk was because I figured with the parts that were on that car that I didn't need between my black car and this car, I can make up the cost of buying that car. It had a 67 limited slip diff rear in it. It had, it had a whole bunch of body panels and stuff. I have a whole complete car. I don't need doors. I don't need fenders. I didn't need a hood. I didn't need a trunk lid. It had it had a set of center lines on it, which either at that point I can sell my Kraggers, or I could sell the center lines. There was enough parts there that I could easily make more than what I would have cost for that truck. I mean, for that
Sure.
car. To
Right.
easily make my money back out of it. And then I have a solid body. And the whole point of buying that body was I was going to stick all the good parts from my black car onto that car and have a running, driving, good car in a couple weeks. Just swap, just the amount of time it takes to swap the stuff over. Which me doesn't take long because literally I can take the whole front subframe, unbolt that, leave the engine and trans and front suspension bolted to it because I know all of that stuff is good on my black car. Roll that underneath the other car. That's 4 bolts and a couple wires and stuff like that. It doesn't take much for you to swap a whole front subframe with engine and trans already bolted on it over. I mean, I literally could have left the cross members, the trans, the engine in. All of the engine harness could have stayed on the, you know what I mean? All that stuff could have just gone as one piece. Could definitely have left the front fenders, hood, rad support, all of that stuff bolted to the subframe as well. Just unbolted it all from the firewall and the underbody of the car, and just swapped it over. But when I got the car, there was more wrong with it than I would have been able to do that for. I got to replace both rear quarters. I have to replace the passenger side rear quarter bottom. It's all rotted out, right where the quarter window sits. I got to replace the rear tail pan where the lights are. Both wheel tubs. I got to fix the rocker on the driver's side because there's a drain hole that's all the way in the back of the rocker. And somebody thought that it was a good idea to put a tow strap in that hole to pull the car, and just ripped it. It just ripped the sheet metal. So I got to fix that. The front subframe is garbage on that car because, again, the same thing. Somebody decided to put a tow strap somewhere and rip the metal. But I mean, like overall, the car is more solid than my black car. But it's not a quick swap stuff over and get going again fix like it was supposed to be. When they pulled the car onto the trailer, the people didn't have the rear end bolted in correctly onto the leaf springs, and when they went and yanked it, the rear went into the back of the quarters. Just crumpled them. Crumpled the whole back of the quarter, the whole back side of the wheel well.
Smooth.
Because it slammed the tires into it. So yeah, and then like I said, when I got the car, they cut the brake, all the brake lines up because they stole. I think they stole parts of the brake system when the people that I had buy the car, they stole part of the brake system. They cut the very top of the wheel arch in the rear wheel well on the driver's side. They cut it out, most likely for a rust repair on the car that they were working on. They took out the rear quarter windows without, giving them to me. There was no interior left in the car, so there was no interior pieces for me to sell. This was all stuff that was, the value of what I bought kept going down and down and down. They took the center lines. They gave me mismatched tires. Not all of them kept air. They were like cheap, like really, really cheap, like just throwaway rims. They weren't like Steelies either, but they were like cheap, like aftermarket ones. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like they're really just crappy ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, they had given me they had those on the took the center lines, which again, like again, it's just more money. Some of the stuff that they took, um, I don't know if I'm lagging or not. I just got a message saying that YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream.
Looks fine on my end.
I don't know. I mean, it
No,
looks
it's fine to me
me.
too.
I sent you a
That
link
was at
to
10.
that
What
car.
time is it now? Oh, it is. It is about that time. Okay. What'd you say?
I said I sent you a link on your Facebook to that car I went and looked at.
Oh.
The guy was like, yeah, it's a nice car. You know, it gonna need engine transmission probably. I'm like, fine.
No, you gotta worry about
And
rust on those cars.
man, I got there. That thing didn't have a straight panel on it.
Yeah.
I was like, man, the body work alone, I'm just not.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's firm at 3,500. I'm like, oof, nope,
No
not
way.
me.
No way. I mean, a
Well,
nice,
after getting there, I was like $900.
yeah, a
Mhm.
nice one of those cars will go for 3,500. Like a nice driver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Beater.
one that's like super nice
Yeah, a
in
beater. You're looking
right outside of Dallas right now for 2,800. I might
Yeah.
go get.
A
It's like
beater one.
really, really nice, under 100,000 original miles.
A Nova.
Yep,
Damn.
2-door, 76.
Ooh. Yeah, 75 and 76 are more sought after years. So the 305
75
or
was
350?
let me look. 75 was my first car.
Well, 75 was the most sought out year because it had the most power. And that was the only true SS car was 75. Like you could get an SS in 76, but it was literally just a trim package. You didn't
It's
get
a
any performance
76
increase.
with a 305.
Okay, yeah, so more of a standard V8 option. Mine wasn't even a. Mine aren't even a. Mine wasn't even a 305 car. It was a inline six car.
This guy bought it in 1976 has the original paperwork for it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, and that's another thing that I got told. I was told that it was a V8 car. When I whatever. Oh, it might have had a V8 in it when he picked it up and pulled the engine and trans out of it, but it wasn't originally a V8.
Mhm.
It was a V6 car because I ran the VIN.
Which a V6 car is okay, I guess.
Not a V6, an inline six.
Don't lie about it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right, but the problem with
straight
it
six.
is an inline six has different front springs than a V8 car.
Mhm.
The wiring harness is different. I was expecting, okay, get a V8 car, I'll have a V8 harness. Instead of having to convert my butchered over inline six harness, because that's what I when I dropped the V8 in it. I just modified the harness to work with the V8, but that leaves a bunch of like extra wire in places and different things, and some stuff just isn't the same between the two cars. Obviously, where the wiring harness goes is different between a inline six and a V8, so the length of wires are going to be different just straight off.
Yeah.
Well, I just sent you the link on both them cars. You could see.
Is it something you need me to look at now, or is it something?
No. I was just saying you could look at the difference in the cars for the price.
Thank you, Pilot, for letting us know it was fine. And 1970 was his first car. He said, "There you go." Here's a question for us: what got you? Where did you get your automotive bug at? What got you into automotive?
Boy, that's a tough one there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know me. It's sitting behind me. It's my mom's love affair of cars that got me into cars.
Well, my mom was a single mom, so
mine
learned everything on my own. So I would say when I bought my first car, 75 Nova, but really it's before that. I was doing model cars and stuff when I was 10 and 12, 10 and 11. So
I actually I have a few that I did way back when, but none of my original ones. Like one of my very first ones that I did, and my mom bought it for me and helped me with it. It was like the '90s Bigfoot, the early
Mhm.
'90s Bigfoot.
Yep.
I had an AMT model version of that, and me and my mom worked on it, and we did it. I guarantee you that that vehicle does no longer exist. I know that the one time we moved, I had it in a box, and my stepfather had put another heavier box on top of it and crushed it. I rebuilt it after that. I had to, I fixed it the best that I could. That's a good thing about plastic is you can re-glue shit back together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm pretty sure I guarantee you I don't have any of the plastic models that I had originally built, because I guarantee you all of my modeling stuff and all of my plastic models were in the storage unit that I lost, so I have none of them.
Oh man, Pilot
I had
says
a bunch
his
of nice
first car
ones
was
too.
in 1970, but it was a '64 Riviera.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at that. I was like, 64.
Mhm.
I love the old boat tail Rivieras.
My first car was a '75 Nova, but that would have been 2001.
My first car was a '95 4-door Ford Escort.
Oh wow,
Not
that's
the
what I learned
first
to
car
drive
that
on
that
the
was not
wagon.
the first car that I
Hmm.
drove. The
Yeah.
first car that I ever drove was a shop car for my shop class.
Hmm.
It was a '77 Nova with an inline six.
The car I
Hmm.
learned to drive on was a '95 Escort wagon.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's what
I
my
had the
mom
four
had.
door with the fold down back seat.
Nice.
It was that dark like forest green with the 6-spoke aluminum rims
Hmm.
and the 1.9 liter, which was the bigger of the engines that was in that car.
Mhm.
And it got 27 miles to the gallon when I wasn't playing with it.
Damn.
But that thing got up and went for a little four banger.
Well, I
I'm
thought I was
sure.
cool. My mom let me drive to school one day, and I took and put some 15-inch subwoofers in the very back. But I cut a hole in the floor because didn't have a speaker box. And my little brothers jumped in the back like they always did, and boom, right on that speaker.
Oh,
Yeah. So, oh well.
that happens. My best mod was we had an '03 Cavalier, and I had some, what were they, 15-inch earthquakes, 15 or I'm not sure if they were 15 or 12-inch earthquakes, but we had them for the Jeep, and I had them in a big box, right? Big box. Now that box did fit in the back
Mhm.
of the Cavalier. There was no using the trunk whatsoever.
Right. There
And
was
I
no
couldn't
trunk
stand.
after that, right?
We had we had her older kid, and then we had the kid that me and her had together at that time. So we had two kids. Having a trunk was important,
Yeah.
because strollers and things like that, and diaper bags and stuff like that. Um, so what I ended up doing is I had built a speaker box out of MDF that fit in the rear quarters. So it, like, you have the little weird hinge for the trunk that would come down into the trunk. It fit on the outside of those hinges in that cubby hole behind the rear tires on both sides. So I
Mhm.
had both earthquakes stuffed into those fenders, and I had built a sub box that fit in that space, complete with the vent holes, the base, the base tubes, and all that stuff. And then I had built a false floor above the spare tire,
Yeah.
and I built a false floor, and underneath of that false floor, hanging from the bottom of a hinged door that would come up, I mounted the capacitor and the amp, and then
Mhm.
ran all the wires underneath the false floor over to the speakers. So you didn't lose again, another important thing is if you have kids is being able to get to the spare tire if you have a flat on the side of the highway. So what you could do is you could lift up that whole false floor, still get to your spare tire without having to unhook the amp or any of the other wires. And it didn't, like some people, they'll mount that stuff like to the back of the back seat and stuff like that. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to lose the ability to lower my back seat and have all of that space if I needed to put something big in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I just made a false floor and bolted everything to the underside of the false floor so that way I could still lift it up out of the way to be able to get to my spare tire. And I was still packing some pretty huge ass freaking subs in the trunk of that car.
Hmm.
And we ended up stuffing behind the subs with like pillow stuffing.
Yeah.
So I literally just stuffed that whole area behind the sub box with that padding to absorb some of that, just that horrible noise that you hear going down the street, like when people have the huge ass subs. I can't stand that bass drone when everything's rattling.
Yeah. Hey, that was cool when I was a teenager.
Yeah, I can't stand it. It sounds horrible. I love the bass, but I don't want to hear the whole car rattle. I don't want to hear
especially
the reverb.
everybody used to have the Nissan Altimas and stuff. You just hear the trunk just. Yeah,
I hate it. I can't stand it. That was one of the cool things I loved about my Nova when I had the 10-inch earthquakes and
didn't have all that because it had real.
Well, it's not just that.
Real metal.
I didn't have subs that were so big that they overpowered the rest of the sound system. Yep. I could not stand it. Even though I had them big 15-inch subs in the Cavalier, I had it tuned so that way it was balanced.
Right, your mid, your low. I mean, your mid and your high.
Right, would equal exactly. The low. I don't want to just hear the bass go wah, and you don't hear anything else because there's more to a song than just the bass.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Pilot bragging on his Cadillac again.
You still want to feel that bass right here, but I also want to hear the lyrics.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like more instruments than just the drums. I'm a metalhead, so I like a good guitar riff. You can't hear a good guitar riff if freaking, those big sub combos, they work great for people that like to listen to rap and things like that because there's not a whole lot of other instruments involved. So you have the lyrics and then you have the beat. That's really all. Yep. Whereas if you're into country music or rock, and there's a lot more other sounds that are mixed in there that you lose when you just focus on the treble and the bass.
Yeah.
Well, and the big speakers they're for, electronic music or rap or hip hop or.
Oh no, trust me, they're really good.
I mean, you could make it. Right. What I'm saying, that's what it got popular for.
Right.
Now, of course, you can make a good system. Yeah. Some 8s or even 10s sound great with good mids and highs. And it's like a good balanced system. 15s are just they're pretty much just for electronic or rap.
Anybody want to guess how many speakers I had in the Nova?
I'm gonna say 8.
Are we counting the fact that most of my speakers had several speakers in one speaker?
No, just the regular
speaker.
I didn't have regular.
You're talking about the ones that have the tweeter built into them.
I had ones that had a tweeter and mid and a freaking low all built into one.
Oh, like the Sony Explodes and stuff.
Yeah. I had, a factory on that car. That car factory came with 3 speakers. You had the one mono speaker in the center of the dash.
Yeah, that's the only one mine came with.
And then you have 2 that are in
the very back,
the rear, what they call the package tray.
Yeah, my car only had the speaker in the dash. Yeah. Like it didn't even have a hole in the rear.
Mine didn't have any of the factory speakers in it when I got it, but it had you can tell it had the one in the center, and then it definitely had the 2 in the back because the original hardware was there. The original mounting. They just screwed in some more modern speakers in its place. In fact, actually, when I got it, it had 2. I think they were little Sony like 4-inch speakers. They had 2 of them up in the dash, zip tied up there, where the one mono speaker would have been.
Wow.
And then it had 2 crappy like off-brand six
6
by
by 9.
nines in the back. None of them worked. In fact, it didn't even have a radio in it when I bought the car. I put in a Kenwood 8, an Exelon 811, which at the time was a really, really, and we're talking early 2000s. I bought that car, mid to early 2000s, and it was one of the cars that actually would tell you what the song was on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So it would actually, like, on the display, it would read across the title of the song on the standard radio, not like satellite or nothing, but the standard radio.
Yeah.
And it had that's when it had the full digital display.
It had a full digital display.
One of the first years of it.
It had the flip, flip mount, so when it turned off, it would flip over and just have a blank.
Go black. Yep.
Yeah, it would be all black. It would just have a blank display. And then when it flip over, it'd have all the digital stuff and buttons and all that stuff. In fact, that's part of how I got that, because the little ribbon strip that went between the display and the head unit itself was destroyed. So it didn't light up. So it didn't take me long to figure out what was wrong with it, and just ordered another ribbon strip from Kenwood. Replaced it. Worked just fine. So I had the Kenwood Exelon head unit. I had two Kenwood speakers. Where were they at? Those were my two center speakers. So they were right on either side of the back passengers, like right above the armrest, on the two doors. And then I had two of the explodes. No, two of the earthquakes. The 5.5 inch, 6 inch round earthquakes with the pointable tweeter. I've had them. I put them down in the bottom of the door panels. And down in the bottom front corner, in the doors, and then I had the tweeters pointed up at the cabin. I had like I said, I had the two in the back, and they had tweeters and mids in them. And then the very back, I had 6x9s. I think those were my Kenwoods, I think, and they were the 3-stage. So you had the big cone speaker, and then you had a mid speaker, and then you had a tweeter. And then in the trunk, I had the two 10-inch subs. Those were earthquakes, with a 600 watt amp and a 500. What do they call it? A 500 capacitor. The big. It looks almost like a big.
Yeah. Thing that holds the charge so it doesn't drain your battery when it first starts.
Oh yeah, because when those subs hit, the car was not happy before I put that in there.
Right.
And you could actually literally watch the numbers as the sub hits, and you just watch that capacitor drop. Especially when I had the 15s, because they really that was a 1200 watt amp. It's a 1200 watt amp for those two 15s, and it drew a lot of power. But yeah, so I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Yeah, I had 8 speakers in that Nova, not including the mini speakers inside the speakers. But that car was nice. Like I said, you just open up the doors on that car and open up the trunk, and you point the back of the car at wherever you're having your party or your cookout or whatever. Crank the radio. It sounded like you had a house system, set up. Like you had the whole DJ system set up. It was nice. It wasn't like overpowered. It didn't you didn't lose the lyrics and the bass, and you didn't the bass wasn't drowned out by what I mean. It's just nice and even.
Just balanced.
I've heard of things on songs in that car for the first. Oh yeah, when you have a nice stereo system, you definitely can hear more out of a song. That's why, like, I told Big E to listen to Tool, but don't listen to Tool on just a standard stereo.
Right.
You either listen to Tool on a nice house setup or a very nice set of over-the-ear headphones.
Oh, if you get a 13 Cadillac, you can listen to it in that too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Because the one thing that Tool is really good at, they're really good at playing the left and right balance. and it literally sounds like the if you listen to it on a set of good headphones, and you just close your eyes and listen, it sounds like the song is traveling to different parts in your head. They play a lot with that, like where the sound is coming from. You know, and if you're into those mind altering substances, that's even that is even more of a epic way to listen to Tool. Not that I'm condoning any of that. I'm just saying that, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, Tool is just freaking. I have never heard another band like Tool. I mean, I don't think I have. I mean, the closest thing you can come up to it is old Pink Floyd. I don't think that there's anything else that quite sounds like them. They don't have they made their own category of music. I mean, I know it's under alternative, but come on. I mean, it doesn't sound like anything else that's an alternative.
Right.
It's not heavy rock. It's not acid rock. It's not, you know, it doesn't fit into any of those categories. It's its own unique sound. You know, it's kind of almost like mixing like techno music or electro music with rock. Because, and the thing is they literally spend months just on getting the feel of the music behind the lyrics, getting the right instruments, the right sounds, the right, because they don't. I mean, they have their regular band sounds, but a lot of the sounds that are in their music is electronic.
Yeah.
Like, there's all a bunch of little background stuff that you never freaking, unless you're really listening to it. But yet, if it's not there, you immediately know it's not there.
Yeah.
But there's stuff that you don't necessarily catch just by listening to it without like listening to it. Do you know what? I need an 8-track player in my TA.
You really don't, though.
I do.
You ever used one?
Yeah. We had one in my
To me,
shop
they don't
last.
sound good, but that's just me.
No, I don't necessarily
They're
need
cool.
I don't necessarily need it to play it.
Oh, okay. So you're still gonna have it. It's more for looks. You're gonna have like a digital or
it goes in the map for the
MP3 or something.
Yeah, in the TA, it goes in the map pocket in the front of the center console, just below the stereo. It actually doesn't go in the stereo spot. It's a separate. But yeah, I want that, and then I just want an eastbound and down 8-track just to stick out of the player.
That'd be cool.
I mean, the only CD that ever played it's actually the CD that is still in the CD player in that car is the not the soundtrack, but his album with the eastbound and down on it. As soon as you start up the car, that's the first song that plays.
Wow. Nice.
Like if I unplug the battery and plug it in and I go to crank it over, that's the song that plays first because that's the first song on that album. I think we lost Cleater.
Oh no.
He looked a little frozen. He moved.
Yeah, he do.
He moved. He moved the laptop too much. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I hit the airplane mode. My bad.
I was gonna say, did you run into some interference there?
Yeah, my fault.
They
were watching a movie in the living room today, so I'm in the bedroom.
That's okay. We have a good view of America behind you.
Yeah.
A map? What's that?
Yeah.
That's old, archaic technology there.
Yeah. It's an old map, too.
Oh, yeah, I can tell. Looks like the maps we had back when I was in school.
It probably is, actually.
Early 90s, late 80s.
Probably.
Oh. But yeah, I don't know. I like the TA. The TA is weird because I want it to stay looking classic, but like everything in it is modern. I do have a modern stereo in it, but But what I hate is when you go to a car show and you can literally see like the USB ports and all that stuff that you would have in your car normally for cruising
Sure.
out and exposed.
Yeah, it's kind of takes away from it,
Yeah,
doesn't
it's kind of like
it?
fourth wall breaking in movies.
Right.
It just pulls you out, you know. It ruins the illusion of the car.
Well,
Now,
some people are good at it though. They'll hide it.
oh
Like they'll
yeah,
have an 8-track player, but it actually be Bluetooth. You
oh
know.
yeah. They're called vintage radios. You can get them.
Mm.
I might do that for that car. I don't know. It just replaces the stock head unit, and the stock head. It looks like the stock head unit, and all the stuff on the front of it still works. You know, you can still go AM, FM radio, and all that, but yet it'll still have. Sometimes it'll have a hidden CD player that's in the center in the glove box. Like disc changer. But a lot of them will also have Bluetooth built into them. But it'll still look like an old school classic radio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
But like my TA, when I was driving it, it had everything set up. It had Bluetooth for the radio. It had I could charge all of my phones. What I did is I ran a power wire along the transmission hump up into the bottom of the center the center the center console. It has that little it comes up and then it has this little like glove box in the center. And I hid
Yeah.
my USB charging ports down in the bottom of that. So all I have to do is open that up, plug my cord in, and if I want the cord out, you know, because I'm using it for, you know, a map quest or something like that, I can have it out and charging. But when I come to a car show, I don't have to have all those wires out. You just tuck them back into the center console, close the lid, and you'll never know that stuff is in there. You know, and even if I need to charge the car, if I need to charge my phone while I'm at a car show, yep, you just stick the whole phone and everything in there. And, you know, everything's contained, you can't see it, and the car looks like it's supposed to. But that's how I had all of that planned. I actually have a cigarette lighter and 3 USB ports inside the car, inside that glove box. Because I don't want the factory car has a cigarette lighter up in the dash with an actual. It's not like a generic cigarette lighter. The Trans Ams had their own special metal one with a special logo on it, and I don't want to have that pulled out to be able to plug in a charger, like a
Right.
whatever cigarette port, or they don't call them cigarette ports anymore. But yeah. I didn't want to have. Plus, also where it's at, like if your steering wheel's right here, that cigarette lighter is like right here. So if you want to have something plugged in there to charge your phone, it's right here in the middle of everything. And if the passenger is the one that needs to use the phone charger, you know, then you got this wire dangling across where you freaking have your shifter and everything else. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
So that's why I said I moved it down into I moved all of the wires. I still had that one powered, but I had a second one powered inside of the glove box in between the two seats. So if you needed to plug something in, it was back there. And then also, if you have somebody in the back seat that needs to use it, it'll reach there a lot easier than going all the way up to the front dash.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had all that stuff set up when I had that car on the road. Because that was one of the things is, you know, it's I wanted to drive it. I wanted to take it on long distance. I drove it all the way from here all the way out to Ohio. You know, phone plugged in, phone charging. And I didn't have to take anything or hide any. Well, you hid it, but you didn't have to take anything out when you wanted to show the car. I'm surprised the Caddy only has 3 USB ports. Our Kia Soul has 2. And then it has 2 cigarette lighters that you can also plug stuff into. Well, they're not cigarette lighters, but charge port lighter. It has 2 USB ports and then 2 of those plugs on either side of the USB port. Which at that point, most of those USB port most of those charging ports, you can fit 2 USB chargers in one of those little bullet size ones, which is what I
Mhm.
have. I have two of those, one on each side, and then both of them have two USB port chargers in them because I don't use the ones that are down in the bottom because they immediately try to connect to the car, and I hate
Mhm.
that when I'm just trying to charge my phone and then it's trying to read my phone, and it's like, no, I don't want you to read my phone. I just want you to charge.
Does your Kia Soul have Bluetooth?
Both of them do, yes.
The one that I got out here that I bought, it has Bluetooth, but it's only for your phone. You can't play music from it. You can only make phone calls.
Yeah, you got to go to the um. It'll make phone calls, but to get it to go and play music, also it depends on the phone because those cars are funky with what phones it likes to connect to. But the other thing is, yeah, if the newer phones it'll connect to and play
It's
MP3s, but you got to hit the
it's a
auxiliary.
S10e. I mean, it's
Yeah,
new Samsung.
you have to hit the auxiliary button
Mm-hmm.
on the stereo because do you which head unit do you have in that car?
It's
The
it's got
touchscreen
satellite
one or
radio. It's got
the
the buttons going down the side with the two knobs.
and the red backlit letters?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the same one I have. Hit the auxiliary button.
Okay.
It'll connect it to MP3 and then it'll play.
Well, I think I'm going to replace it anyway because I'm going to add in a backup camera and all that stuff. So
If you can replace that thing, you let me know because I do believe that the heater controls or it's either the heater controls or the hazard lights are built into the faceplate.
okay. Well, I'll play with it.
Because that's what I
I'll
was
figure
going
it out.
to. I was going to switch the green car because the green car is the one with the bad head unit, where it has no sound whatsoever and it has no backup camera anymore. Because that one, the green car has a backup camera, and had the touchscreen display, the expensive one.
Yep.
But none of it works. The display does everything it's supposed to do, but there's no sound, but the backup camera doesn't work either.
So it sounds like I need to do a YouTube video on it once I figure it out.
Sure, there you go. But what I wanted to do is I didn't want to replace it with another factory Kia head unit.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you are going to switch to the factory touchscreen with the backup camera,
I won't.
I was going to say because they're junk.
Well, my wife's Toyota Highlander, everything was integrated into the radio, but I still got to switch over, and I still, it looks really good now. I got an Alpine unit in. It's really nice.
Well, my issue is I wanted to stick one of those Android-based touchscreens.
That's what this is. It says Android where my maps show up for my phone, and it
that's
mirrors
what I
it
wanted
to
to put in it. But my problem is that the head unit part, the faceplate is part of the thing right above it. It's all one piece.
Gotcha.
And so my problem was, how am I going to replace just the head unit without losing the functionality of everything else that's integrated? Because that's what I hate about newer cars is they integrate everything into one panel, and then you can't modify it. The Fords luckily, were known for that. The Fords were horrible for that.
The Toyota that I did, my wife's Highlander, and for Chevy Malibu I did that had everything integrated. They make a kit that you buy that puts it into like a little side panel or underneath either one, so it keeps everything in that. So I'll do a video if everything comes out. I did a video on the Malibu, and it does pretty well on YouTube actually, because I guess other people were wondering the same thing.
Yeah, it's just it's like I looked, I didn't want to tear apart this green car because, aesthetically, it looks fine.
Sure.
Just and at this point right now, I just have one of those Cove commuter speakers that you see all over YouTube at least like a year or two ago. You saw them everywhere. They, Travaris and Street Speed and a few other. B is for Build has them as well. They all promote those. It was before the Raycons were really big. The Raycon Bluetooth speakers, the for your headphones. Before those were really big, they were pushing these Cove commuters, and I have one of those. I actually bought two. The one somebody stole, so I bought another one, and I just put that in a cup holder when I'm in a green car and play music through my phone that way. But yeah, my car emails me. You told this before, I think, Pilot. It sends him like a health checkup.
Yeah,
I had a
that
few
CAD, like
people.
you could start it from your phone. You could
Yeah.
set the heated seats.
Well,
You could turn it on. Everything.
almost any car with OnStar you can do that. Almost any car with OnStar it'll
Well,
email you.
the Cadillac has its own system. I mean, it does have OnStar, but to
Yeah.
do all that, it uses its own thing. It's actually a pretty nice system. I've never owned one, but I've
When it
bought
works.
some and drove them and everything.
But I'm pretty sure that almost any car with an OnStar, you can get it to send you the automated checkups.
Any car, I think it's after 2011 is when they started doing it.
Yeah.
Because
my
OnStar
Kia
started
doesn't.
back in what, 05, but
Yeah.
it didn't do all that until later.
Yeah, I know my Kia doesn't do any of that crap. My Kia is stupid.
Well, your Kia shouldn't have OnStar, but it does
No.
have
Yeah.
Sirius, right?
Yeah, it has a Sirius that none of us
Yeah.
freaking use. The reason
I don't
can't
either.
stand Sirius is the same reason why I don't. Same reason why I won't give up my my regular radio over Spotify.
Mm.
I love my Spotify, but the problem with Spotify is just like freaking Netflix and everything else, it starts to stick you in a bubble.
Oh.
Because what it does is it has that, just like YouTube. YouTube does it too. It sticks you with recommended stuff based off
Yep.
of stuff that you listen to. Well, if you have a wide range of stuff that you listen to, you could end up getting stuck in this narrow little window and not hear the other stuff you like to listen to come up because
Sure.
it doesn't know how to diversify like that.
I have YouTube Premium. It used to be called YouTube Red, I guess.
That's the absolutely worst thing you can do for a creator. Can't tell you that. If you
But
ever
for the
when you get
music,
yeah, go ahead.
for the music app, it's really awesome because it puts you in that box, but then you hit the little mix thing, and anything, it shows you all kind of different things. Like I listen to all kind of different music, so it'll bring up all kind of music that I've never heard before at all, and it brings up stuff that you can't hear on the radio.
Well, yes, I mean it does have that, but like my Spotify, I like listen to classic rock along with modern
Mhm.
rock along with country. And the problem is if I start listening to a particular genre, all the other stuff will disappear. And it's like so
then you got to go
Same
back
thing
and
like
find it.
Netflix. Say you get into watching anime for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's say you also like watching car shows. Well, all of your suggested stuff is all anime. Or if your kid gets on there and starts watching something, next thing you know, it's only suggesting kids cartoons to you, and it's like, whoa, where's my stuff? I have that same problem with YouTube because I'll play. My kid likes watching this TV. This one channel called Blippi. He absolutely loves it, but the problem is if I start letting him watch Blippi on my freaking Xbox, which is what's connected to my TV as far as YouTube, I'll come back to go watch my recommended list, and it'll be a bunch of Blippi episodes. all my ideas for Build or Goon Squad or your channel, whatever channels that are normally up there are gone. And the same thing like anything else. Like say I get on a binge. Like right now I'm on a binge watching people play this game called Among Us. Mm-hmm. It's a game where you have a bunch of people that are stuck on a ship together and they got different tasks to do. But like one or two of them are like a bad seed. They call them imposters, and their job is to try to kill the crew members or whatever. Their job is to sabotage everything.
Yeah.
And I've gotten hooked into watching them. Well, I've also noticed that by watching them, I have slowly noticed that some of the other stuff that I like to watch is slowly being not on my recommended list. Like I like watching a lot of woodworking. I hadn't had a single woodworking freaking recommendation for like the last 4 days. Like all of my creative making stuff has not shown up on my recommended list. And it's
Well, the other day I watched I forgot what news it was, some news channel. They had them pop up. It had something, so I clicked on it, and now I just keep getting recommended over and over. I'm like, gosh, I don't want to watch that.
The other thing that sucks is when it starts recommending stuff that you've already watched.
That really is annoying because I'll say, man, have I seen that before?
Right, but like the Xbox, the only way to get it to refresh your recommended is by like scrolling down, like going down to like your channel or your library or whatever, and then going back up to the home page, and then it'll refresh it. But the problem is, if you don't watch a video, like say you like nothing on the recommended page, you didn't like anything that it gave you to recommend or whatever, and so you go down and go back up, it won't refresh it. You have to literally cancel out of the app, close it, and open it back up for it to refresh the recommended list.
I don't watch it on Xbox anymore. We have a smart TV or whatever.
Well,
we just use that, but it's still kind of the same thing.
Now, the only smart TV we have is a Vizio that's in the kids' bedroom because I didn't want and even no, it's not even a smart TV. No, I don't think it's not even a smart TV. We have a Roku stick attached to it.
That makes it smart.
Well, it does make it smart, but yeah. But that's the smartest TV we have, and I was like, there's no reason for me to pay for a smart TV if I'm going to have an Xbox hooked up to it. Why pay how much more for a smart TV that's going to do the same exact thing that I have the Xbox hooked up for it for?
Well, the only reason I have a smart TV is because on BestBuy.com, they were having their Black Friday sale.
Yeah.
The same time they were having the one in the store, and I bought a TV because I was buying a new TV. I bought one that fit my whole wall or whatever it sits on. When I went to pick it up, they gave it to somebody else. So they automatically upgraded me to a smart TV.
Oh, there you go.
I was like, oh, nice. So it actually, we used it quite a bit now.
I think mine is an old Walmart brand. They were called Elements, I think. I have a 47-inch in our bedroom that used to be my main TV. That used to be my big TV. And then I think I paid like $400 for that on a Black Friday when it was new. And then like 4 or 5 years later, another Black Friday deal, they had the 55-inch. And I actually paid less for the 55-inch than I paid for the 47-inch.
Right. Well, TVs are so cheap now.
Right. Because you can get a
The other day,
TV.
I was at Walmart. They have my TV, the Samsung Smart TV, but bigger at Walmart for $800 right now. 75-inch, 4K smart TV.
I have thought about getting, a 65 to 75
That's what I got is
65.
TV. Yeah.
But the problem is, number one, it won't fit on that entertainment unit. It was that entertainment unit was originally built for the 47-inch. I built that entertainment unit specifically to put the 47-inch, and then it have a little bit of clearance, so that way it wasn't butting up against the glass for the fish tank, and so it looks centered in that thing. Now I have the 55-inch on it. The 55-inch goes all the way to the edge where it comes up for the fish tank level, because when I designed that unit, the top of the fish tank and the top of the 47-inch TV were level. So that's why I had the fish tank up higher, so that way it would be level with the TV. Now, the 55-inch is taller than the fish tank, and it hangs off like maybe a half inch to an inch, even with it being all the way over against the lift for the fish tank. Still hangs off the other end of the entertainment unit by like an inch and a half inch to an inch. So I can't go bigger with a TV on that entertainment unit. I can't. And obviously, I'm not going to go rebuild that entertainment unit and make it bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could. It would only be having to rebuild half of it. But still, as I don't want to extend it another. I mean, I would have to rebuild the top, the bottom, all of the MDF boards in the middle for the game systems and all of that, and then I think the only piece I wouldn't have to rebuild would be the very end. Well, no, I wouldn't have to rebuild the end or anything that's vertical, because none of that's.
Well, I went to a projector for a while.
The only thing I don't like about projectors.
The second time I had to buy that bulb, I said, "No, I'm done with this."
Yeah, I mean the projectors are cheaper at the very beginning. But
sure.
Yeah, the bulbs you have to keep, and they're expensive. They're like They're really expensive.
Well, and when TVs started getting 4K and all that, they're better than the
Oh yeah.
projectors. They have a better screen.
Anything
But it
over
didn't used
like
to be.
anything over like 1080p, the projector can't
Yeah.
compete with it.
Right.
And then again, none of my TVs are 4K. They're both 1080. They're both 1080p.
1080 is great.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
that's
4K is not
fine.
that much better.
The problem with 4K for me is if you like watching old movies, 4K ruins it. 1080p almost ruins old movies.
It did on mine, or maybe I'm just used to it by now. But
The thing is what it ruins is special effects.
right. Yeah, and
Because
like I
you
said,
can
maybe
see
I'm
them.
just used to
Like,
it because
the thing is if you watch, let's just say you watch Avatar.
yeah,
Okay, you watch Avatar on a regular DVD format at 1080p versus watching Avatar on a Blu-ray at 4K on a 4K TV. You can clearly see where the CGI starts and the live action ends. It's very you can I mean it's obnoxiously noticeable. Now granted, back when that movie came out, they didn't have to worry about it as much because of the quality of the film that was out then. And same thing
we've
with
noticed
everything
that in a
before
lot of
that.
older movies. Yeah, we've
Same thing with
noticed that in
everything.
a whole
You
lot of
watch
older movies.
Independence Day today on a
Right.
really good TV and a really good copy of Independence Day. And it's like, oh my God. You know, because you can just see everything that they did. You know, because they didn't have to worry about it back then. You weren't watching it on
Well,
anything that clear.
a big TV back then was what? If you had a big screen,
even
you
if you
had
had
what,
a big
40 inches, 50 inches at the
40,
max?
50 inches, depending on if you had a rear projection.
Right.
You know, I think the biggest you got was a 60-inch rear projection, but they were fuzzy. They
That
weren't
would have been
super
huge.
crisp.
Yeah.
My mom had one. We had like the 50 or 60-inch rear projection Philips.
Which was what? Probably 6 foot tall and 5 foot wide. I mean,
it was a floor mount unit. And yeah, I would say it was about 4.5 feet tall. It was huge. It was its own.
big
It was its own
speakers
piece
in it
of
and everything.
furniture. Yep, those speakers were in the bottom. But yeah, those were not crystal clear. They were a nice
at the
picture,
time,
but
you
they
thought
weren't
they were
crisp.
great.
Huh? Oh, they were better than anything at the time because you got to think about it. A smaller TV, you viewing it at that freaking distance, you weren't seeing shit that clearly either.
Well, my kids, I just bought them new TVs, but before we had in their rooms 19-inch TVs. And they were complaining about how small they were. I'm like, our living room TV was a 13-inch.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't, and that's part of the reason why I never upgraded to 4K. Not to mention, like my eyesight's not great. So on anything really above 1080p, unless I'm close to it, I'm not gonna freaking really notice the difference anyway.
Like I said, you'll get used to it. The only big difference I notice is when I'm playing the 4K Xbox games, the UHD games.
4K
Man, that's
and depending on it depends. If you're playing a shooter, yeah, the higher resolution you can get, the better for especially for anything long distance. Like say you're trying to pick a target off at a distance. There's a big difference between 1080p and 4K as far as how clearly you're going to see that target.
And I really don't play them games too much anymore. Mine's more like the fishing game. I play a fishing game. It's like, I almost feel like I'm on the lake.
Have you ever heard of the game called Call of the Wild?
No.
Oh, that's a freaking epic game. If you look at that post I posted on my regular Facebook today that I have Big E tagged in, you can see the one moose that I got.
I have to make sure I'm following you. I don't follow a lot of people because of
Facebook's horrible. Sucks. If you don't talk to somebody for a little bit, they literally drop off the face of the earth.
And I quit following a lot of people because of everything that's going on right now. I don't care which way they, for or against, whatever. I
never gave a shit about any of that. I mean, I might post something, but it's not. I don't give a shit if you don't agree with me. I don't, and you don't have to.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
With you. I've never been that way. I know that I've lost friends because they're like, "Oh, you like such and such," and like, I'm allowed to.
Yeah, like what you want, but I guess everybody right now is an expert on everything.
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just one.
That's just annoying.
If you're talking about politics, it's just one snake for another. It just depends on which snake has a prettier coat.
Well, and then everything seems to be politics now. So everything you bring up, they're going to tie politics to it somehow.
Well, even if it's not politics, it's something else.
Yeah.
What color's your skin? What are you into? What do you identify as? What are you into? What is your sexuality? What is you football, baseball? Everybody's got to have some reason why they're different than somebody else, and it's like, can't you just accept that I'm different?
Right.
Can I be different than you? Do I have to like and agree with everything you do for me to like you as a person? No, I don't have to. I can like you as a person without having to agree with everything that you're into.
Well, we can go back where everybody's not trying to push their opinions on you.
Yeah.
It was much easier.
I used to have a saying, and this is technically based towards religion. Religion is like a penis. If you've ever heard that one, it's great to have one, and you can be proud of it. Just don't whip it out and shove it in my face.
Right.
That's the same.
Hey, check it out.
You can put that towards anything. It doesn't have to be religion. Just religion is just the one that, because I'm not religious, so I hate it when somebody that is religious was to be like, "Oh, I'll pray for you. You can pray with me. I don't care if you pray for me, but don't sit here and tell me that I have to pray to save myself."
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that your God is false or you can't believe in him, because you know what? Even if it's real or not, religion has saved some people.
Yeah, it really helps people, and people really need it, and people really believe it. So great for them.
Then I have my other, you have your other viewpoint. It's it's, if you want to look at this from a strictly logical point of view, religion is a way of controlling a population. Sure. Whoever is in control of what they decide the religion is can control the whole population of people that are in belief of that religion. I mean, it's why they call them a flock.
Sure.
But and depending on whether or not you believe in said thing or not is your own opinion and your own beliefs.
Well, luckily they can't go and kill you for not believing now, like the Crusaders and all that.
Well, yeah. And religion has been a really nasty tool at one point. And I'm not saying it's still nasty.
Yeah.
What war are we in now, and why are we in it? One religion over another. One religion that doesn't believe in a religion that doesn't believe in the American the way Americans practice religion. And I'm not saying it ain't the other way around too, because I guarantee you there's plenty of people here in America that don't agree with the way that they practice religion.
Exactly. But if you know what's real funny about them religions are, there's the three big religions, the Jewish, the Islam, and Christianity.
Yeah.
They all are Abraham religions. The Old Testament, the Quran, and the Jewish Bible are all almost the same thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is because they all started out from the same way, and they branched off depending on the needs of the people that were trying to lead that group of people. And again,
exactly, they all started the same place.
We could deep dive into that topic and stir up a lot of sediment, because again, I'm not religious. I look at it from a strictly logical point of view, and you look at reasons why certain things came to be. And if you look at it from that point of view, it's pretty clear as to the mechanics of why those particular groups started. You look at we can date it all the way back to the birth of Christ, but that's not technically when the literature started.
Well, and that's just when Christianity started. You go back further than that, the Old Testament and all that. It's what they call it, the old time religion. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, and if you want to be technically, I would be what they call a pagan.
Pagan, pagan religion.
It is a religion, but it's not a religion. Pagan is a way of life. Yes, there is some religious aspects to it, but the general philosophy was before religion. So,
have you done? I think I've already asked you this, but have you done the Ancestry DNA yet?
Mm-hmm.
I just had an update on mine, and the more people who do it that are in your bloodline, they narrow it down to not only where you're from, but where
I know where I'm
it all
from.
brings it
Majority
together.
of my tree, I am very heavily Irish.
Yes, that I would agree with you because that's where mine was from. But then it breaks it down to
Oh yeah.
more. The where did people from Ireland come from? Uh, mine said Irish, but then it breaks it down. I'm only actually like 12% Irish. The rest of it's actually Anglo-Saxon stuff. Um, the Vikings and all that took over Ireland and all that, and that's where most of that blood comes from. Even though it said I was Irish, he broke it down and said, "No,
Yeah, I have to
you
go back and
aren't.
go
You're
look,
not."
but I'm like, I think a majority of what I was Irish. I have a little bit of German in me,
Do
and a
you have
little,
any red hair people in your family?
yeah.
So then do you have Viking blood in you?
Oh yeah.
Bet you didn't know that.
No, I know. I have a lot of Nordic in me, so
Yep, that's something I learned. It's pretty neat. I thought it was neat anyway. It breaks it all
and the
down
funny
and
thing
how and why and
you
when.
like, you think in this day and age that you would your tree would be so diverse and come from so. It's amazing when you go back through and look at it. Like mine, it's so fucking narrow. Like
Yep.
it does not branch out. Like it's Irish, and if you weren't Irish,
Yeah.
the only reason
Well,
I get
and
any German is from my father's side, and his side of the family is also predominantly Irish.
sure. Well, what's real crazy is if everybody that's alive today can track their ancestry back to Africa.
Oh yeah, well we knew that
Everybody.
I knew that since I was a kid.
Unless they have what was the other type of peoples? My wife has it in her,
But
but
yeah,
I don't.
you got to think about it. The reason why did white people lose the pigment in their skin? Because they moved up north, and you didn't need that. You didn't need that ability anymore. So over time, it was genetically bred out.
Neanderthal. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Unless you're Neanderthal, which were around before Homo sapiens were, which some people are Neanderthal and Homo sapiens, like we all are, of course.
Yeah. Eventually.
But Homo sapiens can all be tracked back to Africa, except for the Neanderthal part of you, which is more from the Asia, Russia kind of area.
Yeah, which is probably why they look so. They look different enough.
Sure.
Green or orange Irish. Depends on how much is in my wallet. The sad part is though, is like you wouldn't believe, like my hair was red. It does not look it anymore. My beard still has a lot of red in it when I let it grow out. Like during this, like my beard will show more red during the summer if I'm outside a lot. Mm-hmm. But if I'm not outside and I don't get a whole lot of sunlight, it'll turn more of a browny red. It lightens up. Same with my hair when it used to be not so much gray. That's the other sad part about being Irish is we all turn white and gray very early. We don't stay redheads very long.
Early, man, you're getting old. Come on now.
I'm 37. Shut up.
Yeah, you're 1 year older than me.
So yeah, but my whole head is just about gray.
I'm starting to get pretty good gray on the sides here.
Yeah, it'll go quick. Once it starts, it goes quick.
I just tell my wife,
where'd my red hair go? now I have to dye my hair my natural color. But again, that doesn't last too long because I wear my hair short. So, alrighty. I think I'm gonna call it for this week because I have to get up really early tomorrow, and I'd like to some time to unwind and relax before going to bed. And I do appreciate everybody as like this that's been sitting at the bottom of the screen this whole thing. I definitely appreciate everybody that's here week in and week out. You guys don't know how much that means to me. Just having this group of people to hang out with and chat to every week. I'm glad to see you guys here every week, even the people that only pop in for a little bit. It's just nice to know that you're thinking and you come and join and hang out for however much time you can. And you guys up on the screen as well, Chris and them included. I know Chris hasn't been able to be on the show very often recently because of his own things going on. But definitely glad to see you guys here every week. I do hope that this community grows a little bit bigger than it is because the more that we have, not only the more fun we can have together, But the more you guys can help each other as a community, because there'll be a lot more of you guys here.
Mhm.
Oh my God, I don't have that problem, pilot. Um,
I didn't know that.
but yeah, you know,
Mhm.
it is what it is. I thank you guys every week for coming back up here and chatting with me, because you know this is a good community, and I've enjoyed being able to provide this platform for us all to chit chat with every week. So hope to see you guys here next week, and until then, be safe, and we'll see you here next week.